Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in everyone's life when the silence of being left behind echoes louder than any words ever spoken. The pain of loss, of rejection, of abandonment. It feels like the world stops spinning, doesn't it? You replay every memory, every word, every promise, trying to understand why someone walked away. But the truth is, healing begins the very moment you stop chasing the why and start nurturing the how. How to rise again? How to find peace again? How to love yourself again? Life doesn't end when someone leaves. It begins when you finally choose to stay for yourself. So today, let's talk about shifting our focus from who left us to how we heal, how we rebuild, and how we rediscover our own light even in the darkness. Your healing is not dependent on their apology. We spend so much time waiting for someone to say the words we long to hear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. You deserved better. But what if those words never come? What if silence is the only response you ever get? Then what do? Do you pause your healing until someone decides to give you closure? Or do you rise, realizing that closure was never something you were meant to receive, it was something you were meant to create? The absence of an apology doesn't make you unworthy of peace, it just teaches you that peace is an inside job. There will be nights when your mind replays every moment that led to the goodbye. You'll analyze every sentence, every gesture, every smile that once felt so real. You'll wonder where it went wrong, what you could have done differently, and the more you search for answers, the more you'll drown in what ifs. But healing doesn't happen in the replay, it happens in the release. The moment you stop rehearsing their absence is the moment you start embracing your presence. Forgiveness is a language your heart learns when it's tired of breaking. You don't forgive because they asked you to. You forgive because you no longer want to carry the weight of their choices on your soul. You forgive not to erase the past, but to unchain yourself from it. Because forgiveness isn't about letting them in again, it's about letting yourself out of the prison of pain they left behind. And maybe one day, you'll realize that the apology you were waiting for wasn't theirs, it was your own. An apology for staying too long where you were unseen, for expecting love from hearts that were incapable of giving it, for silencing your pain to keep their comfort intact. When you whisper that apology to yourself, you'll feel something shift, a quiet liberation, a small victory of your spirit reclaiming its peace. Healing, you see, is not dependent on their remorse. It's dependent on your decision to rise. It's the brave choice to stop waiting at the doors that have already closed and walk toward the light that's still shining ahead. The apology they never gave cannot heal you, but your courage to move forward will. You are not defined by who hurt you, but by how gracefully you learn to let go of the hurt. There's beauty in releasing the need to understand why. Because some answers are not meant to be found. They are meant to be felt, lived through, and learned from. You can't rewrite what happened, but you can rewrite how you rise after it. Every breath you take without bitterness is an act of rebellion against the pain that tried to break you. And when you finally stop waiting for them to fix what they broke, you'll discover something extraordinary. You'll realize that you were never broken beyond repair. You were simply unfolding into a version of yourself that no apology could ever give birth to. Turning pain into power pain is strange. It doesn't just visit, it settles in. It makes a home in your chest and whispers that you'll never feel whole again. But what if pain wasn't your enemy? What if pain was your most honest teacher, showing you who you are when everything else falls away? When someone leaves, it's not just the loss of them you mourn, it's the loss of the version of yourself that existed with them. And yet, from that loss rises a new strength, a new awareness that you can survive even when the world goes silent around you. There's a fire that comes after heartbreak, quiet at first, but powerful when you finally stop fighting the pain and start listening to it. Pain tells you where you loved deeply, where you trusted fully, where you gave everything without fear. It tells you that you were capable of feeling something real, something raw. And isn't that the most powerful thing about being human, that we can shatter and still be capable of love again? Every scar you carry is a reminder that you lived through something that was meant to destroy you. And yet, here you are breathing, standing, and still believing that light can find its way back into your heart. That's what power looks like. It's not loud, not aggressive. It's quiet resilience. It's getting up one more time than you fell. When you stop seeing your pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, you begin to transform it. You realize that what felt like an ending was actually an initiation into strength. You learn that being broken open allows light to enter places it never could before. Pain refines you, polishes your soul, and teaches you empathy that untouched hearts will never understand. There will be days when you look at the pieces of your heart scattered on the floor and wonder how to begin again. Begin anyway. Pick up one piece at a time. Build slowly. Because every time you rebuild, you become wiser, softer, stronger. You become the kind of person who knows that pain doesn't define you, it reveals you. Power isn't found in avoiding the storm. It's found in learning to dance in the rain. When you can hold your pain and still find gratitude in it, that's transformation, that's healing. That's you reclaiming your power. Not as revenge, but as resurrection. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the pain that once made you tremble has become the foundation you now stand tall upon. You'll realize that it was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to awaken you. Learn to sit with yourself. We live in a world that teaches us to escape pain, to distract, to replace, to run. But healing doesn't happen in running away. It happens in sitting still. It happens in facing yourself when the silence feels unbearable. Because in that silence, you meet your truth. The truth that you were never truly alone, even when it felt like everyone left. Sitting with yourself means allowing the tears to fall without shame. It means admitting that you miss them, that it hurts, but also that you'll be okay. It's about embracing your emotions without drowning in them, learning to comfort yourself without needing someone else to fill the void. That's what true strength looks like, the ability to be with your pain and still hold your own hand through it. When you sit with your pain long enough, it starts to speak. It tells you what you ignored, what you settled for, what you truly need. And when you begin to listen, you start to rebuild from a place of awareness instead of desperation. You stop searching for people to fix what only you can heal. There's a sacred beauty in solitude. It's in the quiet mornings where you sip your tea and realize you're okay. It's in the nights you fall asleep without tears, knowing that peace is beginning to replace pain. Solitude teaches you that your company is not a punishment, it's a privilege. When you learn to sit with yourself, you rediscover your strength. You begin to remember who you were before the heartbreak, before the loss, before the noise. You start hearing your own voice again, the voice that says, I am enough. I've always been enough. Sitting with yourself is an act of love. It's telling your heart, you don't need to rush to be okay. Take your time. Healing doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. It asks for patience. It asks for the bravery to face your reflection and still choose to smile. And eventually, the silence that once terrified you becomes your sanctuary. You realize that being with yourself was never the hard part, it was remembering that you were never incomplete to begin with. Rebuilding through self-love. There comes a point in your healing where you realize that the love you were giving to everyone else was never meant to run out when they left, it was meant to return home to you. You spent so long trying to earn love, to deserve it, to keep it, that you forgot it was never something to chase, it was something to nurture within. When you begin to rebuild through self-love, you are no longer trying to fill an emptiness. You are remembering that you were never empty, only misplaced beneath layers of doubt and pain. Self-love begins with small acts of kindness to yourself. It's waking up and choosing to breathe deeply even when you don't want to. It's looking into the mirror and saying, I'm still here, even when you feel like a fragment of who you once were. It's forgiving yourself for not knowing better before, for loving too much, for trusting too soon. Because self-love is not just a feeling, it's a discipline. a daily choice to show up for yourself even when you feel undeserving. As you rebuild, you begin to understand that the love you give yourself sets the tone for every other kind of love you attract. When you hold yourself gently, you no longer tolerate those who handle you carelessly. When you speak kindly to your own soul, you stop letting others define your worth. The world mirrors how you treat yourself, and when you treat yourself with grace, the world begins to respond with light. There will be moments when you'll stumble, when self-love feels like a foreign language your heart can't pronounce yet. That's okay. Healing is not a straight line, it's a spiral. You'll revisit old wounds, but each time with more understanding, more compassion, and more strength. You realize that healing is not about forgetting who hurt you. It's about remembering who you are without that hurt. Every time you choose peace over revenge, you rebuild. Every time you choose to rest instead of proving your worth, you rebuild. Every time you choose to walk away from what doesn't serve your growth, you rebuild. Self-love is not loud, it's quiet, consistent, and deeply sacred. It's the strength that whispers, "You are enough," even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. There will come a day when you no longer seek love to feel whole, because you'll realize that wholeness was never missing, it was simply waiting to be seen by you. The same heart that was once shattered will become your compass, guiding you toward peace instead of pain. And in that moment, you'll understand that the most beautiful love story you'll ever experience is the one you write with yourself. Rebuilding through self-love doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you start caring about yourself too. It means your boundaries become acts of kindness, your healing becomes your priority, and your happiness becomes your responsibility. And when you finally stand in front of the mirror and see yourself not as broken, but as blooming, you'll know that your healing has become your masterpiece. The future deserves your focus, not the past. There's a time in life when holding on feels easier than letting go, because letting go feels like admitting that something truly ended. But endings are not failures, they're invitations. Invitations to step into the unknown, to trust what's ahead, to believe that your story is still unfolding in ways you can't yet see. The future is not asking you to forget your past. It's asking you to stop living there. It's asking you to bring the lessons, not the pain, into what comes next. You've cried enough over doors that closed. You've exhausted yourself replaying moments that will never return. Healing demands a different kind of courage, the courage to stop looking back. Because every time you turn toward the past, you lose sight of the sunrise that's waiting ahead. The person who left was only a chapter, not the entire book. And the beauty of life is that you hold the pen, now you get to decide what the next page looks like. Focusing on the future doesn't mean pretending the pain never happened. It means choosing to believe that there's more to your story than what hurt you. It means standing up after falling apart and whispering, "I still have time to become." It's about taking small steps towards something better, even when your heart still aches. Because healing isn't about erasing, it's about evolving. The past will call you sometimes. It will whisper memories, promises, familiar faces. But you've grown now. You'll feel the pull, but you'll know that you're no longer the same person who once begged to stay. You'll realize that the very pain that once chained you has now become your reason to fly. The past may have built your foundation, but the future will build your freedom. When you finally decide to focus on healing, you stop asking why did they leave and start asking what is this teaching me. You begin to walk with gratitude instead of grief, purpose instead of pain. You start seeing every scar as proof that endings are not empty, they're sacred beginnings in disguise. The future deserves your focus because it's still unwritten, still full of possibilities. Your pain once told you didn't exist. The future doesn't need you to be perfect, it needs you to be willing. Willing to try again, to believe again, to trust again. It needs you to bring the strength that was born from your suffering and let it lead you towards something beautiful. And one day, when you stand in the light of everything you've healed from, you'll look back not with bitterness, but with peace. Because you'll finally understand that those who left were not the end of your story, they were the reason you learned how to begin again. At the end of the day, healing is not a race, it's a rhythm, the quiet heartbeat of your own becoming. The people who left, they were never meant to complete you, they were meant to awaken you. Every ache, every tear, every sleepless night has been shaping you into someone softer yet stronger, someone who no longer seeks closure from the world but peace from within. When you focus on who left, you stay anchored to pain. But when you focus on healing, you begin to sail again, not away from your past, but toward yourself. Because healing is not about forgetting them, it's about remembering you. It's about realizing that the love you once gave to others was never wasted. It was preparing you to finally give it to the one who needed it most you. The truth is, you will meet many people in life. Some will stay, some will go. But the one relationship that defines your destiny is the one you build with yourself. So, stand in the ruins with your head held high. Let the tears fall, but let them water your growth. Smile at the scars, because they remind you that you've survived what tried to destroy you. And when you walk forward, walk with peace in your heart and hope in your eyes. Don't chase after who left. They were part of your story, not your ending. Focus on healing, because that is where your strength blooms, that is where your beauty shines, and that is where you finally find the home that was always within you.